These days there is so much awareness about burnout and all these mindfulness thing. Back,
Like, when are you overthinking? Is it when you're trying to write an email and you burn 20 minutes because you're overthinking what to respond? So I would say, I'm a high performance coach and mindfulness expert. And I help people, but that's where things like some podcasts, when people say, oh, just go have a cold shower, that'll help you wake up. That can actually really mess up your nervous system and make you much more stressed. Like, what feels healthy? For some people, they have a lot of energy and they can sleep 6 hours and they are doers and they just need to do and build all the time. And there are some people who, are a bit more introspective and need a bit more time and space and more rest. But we haven't been taught that kind of stuff, right? I mean, Vipassana is a very structured schedule. So you're up at about 4:30, you meditate for 10 hours a day. So all you're doing is just meditating all day. There's no yoga. There's no time to journal or reading. It's not a retreat. So I have a burnout assessment that I run, and it's kind of like a very short quiz. It takes 2 or 3 minutes, and then it'll tell you if you're in burnout zone, if you're critical or you're trending towards burnout. So that's one method.
that moment when you look around, achievements after achievements, and yet everything feels just exhausting. That's where many of us are stuck, chasing success, yet on the brink of burnout. Hello, and welcome back to the Neha Jog podcast. Today, I'm having a deeply meaningful conversation with Tahira Jamani, the founder of the Chain Reaction right here in Calgary. Tahira is a former HR professional who faced burnout head on and used that experience to transform her own life. Trained at the Berkeley in Google's Search Inside Yourself program and certified in mindfulness and emotional intelligence, she now helps high performers become top performers without losing themselves along the way. This episode is for anyone who has ever felt like success is slipping through their fingers, overwhelmed by expectations, stress, or that sense of being constantly on. If you want to move from surviving to thriving with clarity, presence, and purpose, you'll want to listen to this one. Oh, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It truly helps me bring more such transformational conversations like this one. So, without any further ado, let's dive right into this powerful journey with Tahira Jamani. Hello, Tahira. Welcome
Hi.
to today's episode.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with your introduction. How was your childhood? Where were you?
Yeah, I was where I was born and kind of where I grew
Right,
up.
right.
Yeah, so I was born in the UK, right in central London, busy hotspot, and lived there till I was 10 years old. And then family moved to Calgary. And I've been in Canada since. So I was in Ontario for a little while for school and work, and came back here in 2014 and have kind of been Alberta based since then.
Okay.
Yeah.
But London and Ontario are so fast paced cities compared to how Calgary was in 2014. Because
Yes.
I came here in 2015.
Okay, yeah.
How did you have to work on yourself? This
Yeah.
is slow.
Yeah, it was an interesting transition because when I moved here in 99, actually, it was much different. It was much smaller, a lot safer, a lot more relaxed, a bit more chilled out, and just a much more smaller feel. And then when I was away for 7 years, came back 2014, had definitely grown, and it's just been growing since. So it's exciting to see, and just different than how I remember it when we grew up. We used to be able to go out of our house and leave the garage door open and leave your house door unlocked, in the suburbs at least. And now you don't do that. So it's different. It's a different life. I don't know. Do you do that? Do you keep it open?
Sometimes now, when my kid is playing outside, only then, because I could keep an eye, or he's coming 1,000 times inside.
Right.
So only
Right.
then. But yeah, I'm not too finicky. I don't care.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
But what do you like? Busy cities, big cities, or do you still prefer Calgary?
Honestly, I prefer extremes. So I spent some time in New York last year, about 10 weeks, and I loved the city. I just fell in love with the energy and the vibrancy and the people and the ideas and the innovation. Like I loved the hustle and bustle, but I also love spending time in silence and I love quiet beaches and secluded areas. So definitely, I would say more on the extremes. Calgary's okay.
Yeah.
It's a little to like middle ground for me. It's kind of not either or, So it's a good like holding spot, I think. But my family's here and there's you just kind of get to know a lot of people once you've been here for so long. Like growing up when you would go to a neighborhood, you just know people in the area, right? And businesses and stuff like that. So I do love Calgary that way. It's just but yeah, it's like an even playing field, if you will. And it's rained a lot this summer, so I'm like, I don't know.
I know. We've not had a good summer.
Yeah, it's been a bit rough. But no wildfires, so that's good. Not very smoky, so that's good.
That's true.
Yeah.
What was your education like? What did you study?
Yeah, in university, I studied business and I specialized in human resources.
Human resources?
Yes.
So after your education, did you go to 9 to 5, like a job?
Yeah, I did. I started in IT because that's the only job I could get out of school back in 2010. HR, human resources was very new. It was a very fresh field at the time. So it was a hard field to break into. So I started in IT at an engineering firm. And then transferred into HR. But yeah, I went straight to kind of followed the rules. I went straight to a 9 to 5,
How long did you do that?
At the engineering firm?
Like a regular 9 to 5 kind of job.
Yeah, so regular 9 to 5 was about 4 years, honestly. It was 2010 to 2014. And then since then, I've like started my own business and have been back into I guess I wouldn't say corporate world, but to startup world for a little while.
Right.
So it was like more than 9 to 5,
Yeah, obviously.
But back into that, for a little bit. And then kind of back to doing my own thing. So yeah, bit of a blend.
Was that always in the back of your mind? Like, I want to do something of my own. How did that happen?
Yeah, well, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So my dad's always run family businesses from London. He had a greengrocer shop. So fresh fruits and vegetables. We moved to Calgary and we had a coffee shop, a few different businesses, and then a lighting store, wholesale distribution of lighting. My brother took over the business. I worked in the business for a little bit. So I've kind of had a front row seat to it for most of my life. I didn't know if I wanted to start my own thing, to be honest. I wasn't really sure until I kind of went through my own journey of burnout and kind of that's how I arrived at this type of work. And then I just knew that, no one was kind of doing it this way. And I wish that this existed. I'd seen one of those quotes that said, create what you wish existed. And I was like, I wish this existed. So I created it.
These days, there is so much awareness about burnout and all these mindfulness things. Back then, was there awareness about it? How did you realize like this is burnout and like you're tired or?
Yeah, it was very interesting because I was just a few years into my career and I was following the rules. I'm really good at just putting a smile on my face as we're taught and you just keep going, right? And so I was just kind of doing what I was told to do. And I started coming home from work every day with like crippling stomach pain. I would just be curled over every day. I'd get home from work and just lie in the bed, didn't know what to eat because I didn't know what was irritating my system. I had a lot of digestive issues that were happening. And I was getting a lot of eczema. So lots of rashes that were coming up. I was super irritable. My partner at the time was like, why are you so angry all the time? Like what's happening? I stopped hanging out with friends. I wasn't going to the gym. Like I wasn't doing things that were normal to me or that like made me me. I was kind of losing myself. And I went to see the doctor and I did all the tests. And you're right. Like burnout wasn't a thing. Like stress wasn't a thing that was talked about in workplaces. And I went to see well, all the doctor's reports came back normal. Everything was clear. They just said, you have IBS. Like, you just have to live next to a washroom for the rest of your life. And I was like, I'm 24. Like, I can't, that can't be it for life, And I had followed the checklist. I did the degree and had, like lived in a dream city. I was in Toronto at the time, had a dream job, like all the things that you're told to get, right? So it was very confusing and kind of baffling for me that this was happening. And I ended up going to see a naturopath. And she said, this is classic burnout, like this is stress. And obviously I was like, that's not possible. Like, I don't get stressed. The way you deal with stress is you put a smile on your face and you just keep going, right? So, I just, after a while, like I'd ruled out every other option, and so I accepted that it was classic burnout and I quit my job. And from the day I handed in my resignation, I have not had a day of pain since.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
was your work stressful? While you're working, would you feel like this is so stressful? I don't like doing this job.
I didn't notice it as much as my body obviously noticed it. I thought I was paying my dues, putting in the reps, like doing the work. There was a lot of inefficiencies at this, at the organization. So when I would make suggestions, my manager once said to me, Tahira, this is the way we've been doing it for 10 years. This is what we're going to keep doing. And this can't be the place for me. Like I'm so young and have so many ideas. How can we just do things because you've been doing it this way, right? Mm-hmm. So, my manager was she was great in the way that I learned a ton from her. There was also quite a bit of micromanaging happening as well in the workplace. And I was kind of always on edge, and I didn't realize that. I didn't realize the toll that it was taking. So from it, like objectively, the work was not stressful, but it's the way my system and my body responded to it. And then looking at all these components of the micromanaging that was happening and the inefficiencies and redundancies and things like that, where I was like, yeah, that is a level of stress for sure that comes on, but just not in the typical way of volume of work. Like the pressure was a different type of pressure. It wasn't necessarily deadline pressure. Right. It was just somebody's watching you pressure.
I know.
Yeah. And you don't know that because you're like, it's a manager. They're making sure, you're doing what you need to do and they're doing their job. And I'm so early in my career. So just kind of take it. You just take it and that's it.
In a sense, I also feel you were lucky that your body showed symptoms and you took action because there are many other people I feel are burnt out and they would like treat this physically. Yeah. Most 90% of the time, just pop pills and just keep doing what you're doing rather than, actually thinking things through.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see that all the time. Those options were kind of presented to me to some level. And I just said, there's got to be more to life than this. Like there has to be more than this. And maybe there's something that I'm missing. So it seems like it was kind of lucky. And also my body just wouldn't give me another option. There's only so long that you can come home and kind of waste away your evening and think that I'm living in Toronto. I have friends. I have energy. I have a life to live, but it's not just all work. But it happens, and many people get caught in that burnout. I call it like high functioning burnout is what it is, right? You're a high performer in burnout. You're just kind of running on adrenaline, but sometimes your body will speak very loudly and. I'm glad that it didn't just get more worse because, things can really escalate quickly that way to a place where it's irreversible. Like you can't do anything about it. So.
I know, which is very unfortunate to whoever that happens to.
Yeah. But, really unfortunate.
Yeah. But you quit without any plans.
Correct. I quit without any plans and moved back to Calgary to figure it out. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, how was that period? Like the figuring out, what were you thinking? What were some of the other ideas you were exploring?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was looking at going back to work immediately, as most people are, right? Um, I knew that I had to figure out what was going on internally first. Like, why was there stress? Where was it coming from? What was actually happening? And then learn about how stress shows up for us, like how it comes up in our brain and in our body, because I didn't understand that rashes and eczema are stress related. You know, pressure headaches can be stress related, right? Like gut issues are stress related. Like I didn't understand that because we hadn't been taught those things. And so I went on this journey to just learn about stress and burnout. And I was in a very hush hush space. I kept it very quiet because it was embarrassing that this had happened. I felt like a failure. You know, I was this young person, you know, a few years into her career that's like couldn't make it. Felt embarrassing and I felt ashamed, you know, and yeah, and so I just took some time personally to learn about it and understand what was going on. I started working part-time, you know, doing a couple of different pieces, and I was just in that journey. I started to really find that part of why I started in HR was because I wanted to help people, but I didn't really know how. And I kept looking for deeper ways to help people through HR, wellness, or something like that. But the roles were not as developed as they are now.
Right.
So it wasn't much option. And I used to spend, fast forward a little while, I used to spend nights just racing. My mind was racing and thinking and ideating, like, what could I do? What's something different that would make me feel fulfilled and get me excited about life, you know? And that turned into its own problem because my mind would just overthink and I never slept for like months. I just couldn't sleep. My mind was always racing. And so I was recommended to try a 10-day silent meditation course.
Was that
Vipassana,
Vipassana?
yes. Yeah, Vipassana. Because in this time, I had been listening to a lot of Tim Ferriss's podcasts, learning about health and optimization and wellness and biohacking and just efficiencies and all these things. And every person he interviewed always had a meditation or mindfulness practice, all these successful people. I was like, there's got to be something to this. It was a very consistent theme for me. So then when someone recommended the Vipassana meditation course, I thought, absolutely not. That's bonkers. I'm not going to go sit in silence for 10 days. That's intense, you know? But I signed up because it honestly felt like a last resort. I was like, there's no other option for me to learn how to manage my mind. I had tried all the apps. 10 minutes doesn't really work because you're just sitting there thinking like, okay, when's the 10 minutes up? And then it's up. And then you're like, okay, you get on with your day, right?
Right.
So I went to this 10-day silent meditation course and it just changed everything for me.
Was it?
It really, really changed everything. Yeah.
How was your experience there? Like, you know, maybe like in the beginning, was it difficult, or at the end? Like, how did you get used to that?
The whole thing was difficult. Let me say that. The whole thing was difficult. But there were moments of peace that I had never experienced before. And so every time I accessed those moments, it was like a rep, right? It was like a mental rep of, this is how you access this peace. It's possible. So it really gave me insight to how much control we can actually have over our own mind. And also to realize that while the mind will conjure up all sorts of things, you don't have to believe everything. You know, like when a story comes up or an assumption or a thought, you don't have to just run with it. So it gave me a bit more control to manage my mind. But at the beginning, it was very difficult because it was scary. You know, it was very scary going into something like this. I only knew one person who had done it before. My dad was like, just go to mosque because we're religious. You know, my mom asked if I was joining a cult. My brother was very supportive. And I remember driving it's like a 3-hour drive from Calgary. And I remember driving and I was on the phone with my brother and I was like, I don't think I can do this. I got to turn back. Like I gotta come back. I can't do this. And he's like, just go, like, see what it's like. Just start. It's okay. It'll be fine. You know, he was really great. And I remember I got to the center and I pulled into the wrong kind of entrance area, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got into the building and there was nobody there. There was just like some sheets hanging. And I was like, oh my God, I have to go. This is not it, you know? So some freakouts along the way. And then eventually I got there, I got into the building, the right entrance. And I'm so glad that I stayed and learned this technique, because I really learned that we have so many distractions in our world, things that we don't even think are distractions. And like an itch, you know, if you're focused on something and then you get an itch on your face and you itch it, that can take your focus away from what you're doing.
Yeah.
But if you don't itch it, it's going to go away. Right? So we haven't been taught like also a sense of discipline of how to stay focused in a way that also works for you in your system. So it was just very interesting to develop my focus and understand more about myself and my mind and my body and how things work for me, because we're all different. We're all unique individuals, right?
But just, I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
When you were living in Calgary, you were living by yourself?
Like when I was younger, you mean?
No, before going to Vipassana. When you came here, you quit your job, you came to Calgary, and you were living by yourself.
I was staying with family for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what like I was thinking. Like what is the difference of going to Vipassana and living by yourself? Because you're still alone with your own thoughts.
Yeah.
There might be little distractions, like the major one is your phone. Yeah. But like, what is different about Vipassana?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. So much is different about Vipassana. I mean, Vipassana is a very structured schedule. So you're up at about 4:30, you meditate for 10 hours a day. So all you're doing is just meditating all day. There's no yoga. There's no like time to journal or like reading. It's not a retreat. It's 10 days of learning a new skill with sheer discipline.
Do they teach you how to meditate?
Yeah, so they teach you the technique, which is really obviously great and helpful. But I mean, at home, there's TV, there's internet, there's Netflix, streaming services, you know, text messages, phoning a friend, books, magazines, music. Like there's just so many distractions, whether you live it alone or not. Because I had lived alone in Toronto, but very, very different. Very different. You're solely there to meditate. You know, you have 2 meals a day. That's it. All you're doing is meditating back to back. So it's very, very different than living alone. So you are still with your thoughts, but in a much more exaggerated way. Okay. You know, it's a lot more intense. And I realized just how scary the mind can be. And I thought after coming out of those 10 days that if I can face my mind, I can take anything. I can face anything in the world. To be alone is a lot. Was it like a life-changing experience? You came out, like you learned a lot and you were a different person or different perspective? Yeah. I think that my relationship with myself changed a lot. My relationship with the world changed a lot. How I interact with people changed a lot. I wouldn't say like I became a whole different person, but there was definitely parts of me at my core that shifted for sure, in the best way possible. You know, it's just a really hard route to get there. It's a hard thing to go through to get there. But yeah, there was a lot that changed, and I came out of there knowing that I wanted to share this with people in a more accessible format. I just didn't really know how, other than saying, hey, you should go, you know, spend 10 days in silence, right? It's a lot. Right. It's a lot. And it's interesting because it's 10 complete days. Like you get there and it's day 0, and then you start silence that night. And then there's 10 days of silence, and then you leave on day 11. So it's technically 12 days.
Okay.
So it's like 10 complete days. Like they don't mess about, it's 10 full days.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did you get, was it difficult to get back to normal life and all the chaos around you?
Yes, very difficult. I remember driving back. I was driving back with another student who had taken the course. I think he had done the course a few times already. And even just having him in the car and having a conversation was a lot of stimulation. I remember saying, like, we can't have the radio on and have a conversation. It's too much because I'm also looking outside. I'm driving. It's too much, right? Because your senses become very quietened and relaxed over those 10 days because you're not doing any of that. So that's what I mean. Like when I came out, I realized just how many distractions we have and just how stimulating our world is and how we need much less stimulation sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had a better vision of what you want to do and how you want to help people.
Yeah.
How did you finally figure out that this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so it's interesting because right when I came out of Vipassana, I wanted to find a way to share this with people, and I had thought that I needed to do my MBA to do that. So, and growing up, I was always told, go back to school, do your MBA, right? I had been thinking about it for years, but never actually did anything about it. So I came out of Vipassana and said, okay, I'm at least going to try. I'm going to try to get in and do the MBA. So that was the first step. And I studied for the GMAT. I hadn't done long division or long multiplication in, 15 years, 10 years or something. It had been a long time, right? So I got a math tutor. I studied a lot, and I had 6 weeks because I came out of Vipassana in January, and I wanted to try and do my MBA that year. So there was only a few weeks to submit your applications. So I studied a lot. I wrote the GMAT and I tanked. It was really bad. But I still submitted my application to University of Singapore. And they called and they said, hey, look, we really like your application, but your GMAT score is too low. And I was like, yeah, I know. I know it's too low. And they said, are you willing to rewrite? Like, we'll give you a month and you can rewrite. And if you do better, then you'll probably get in, right? And I was like, of course I'll study again. So I took that month and I studied and went to rewrite. And I did worse the second time. Yeah. Yeah, I did worse. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I remember sitting in my car after, because when you do the GMAT, you get your score immediately.
Oh, okay.
It was on the computer. So I remember sitting in my car and just like head in my hands, sobbing because I was like, what am I going to do now? Like, this was supposed to be my plan for not just the year, but the next year to study. And it was supposed to be the plan for my life, right?
Right.
It felt like there was a lot riding on it. And, I took to a spreadsheet and I started spreadsheeting out all the reasons why I wanted to do my MBA. And I realized a lot of them were pretty like ego driven. It was like, prove that I can do my MBA, prove to my family, prove to myself, prove to society that I can do this, right? Like there were some of those kind of reasons baked into it, and some also more valid reasons like learn new skills, like have a more global network and those kind of pieces. But I realized I didn't actually want to do my MBA. Like I didn't want to.
Right.
I was told that it's a good thing to do. Not that it's not a good thing to do.
Right.
But it's not always right for everyone, and in that time when I was spreadsheeting, I was looking for HR work again. I was looking for things in the wellness space or benefits. How can I bring in mindfulness to work? And I came across a video of Peter Bostelman, who is the director of mindfulness at SAP, very large, right?
Yeah.
Tech organization. And I had used the SAP software before. So I was like, how is there a mindfulness department in this gigantic tech company? Like, what is this? And Peter, I watched a video of him and he talked about the Search Inside Yourself program. which is the mindfulness and emotional intelligence course developed at Google. So it was developed for the engineers, right? It's all analytical and there's steps and they use spreadsheets and there's like all these things. And I was like, I relate to this, this is good for me. So I went down a deep dive and looked into the program. And just from looking at the site, I knew like, this is what it is. So there was a lot of research that went into it and a lot of staying open to what I wanted to do, but also a determination and discipline, which I'd learned from Vipassana, of like sticking with something, And so, so Peter Bostelman changed my life, which was awesome. And I got to meet him in person a few years ago, which was very exciting.
That's nice.
Sometimes you put a video out there or you put something out there and you don't know how it's going to impact someone.
Right.
And his like that video of him sharing this changed the trajectory of my life. So I spent a year back and forth at Berkeley and Calgary studying, because then I applied to become a teacher.
Okay.
This was within the same year of the MBA. And I worked harder on this application than I did for the MBA because it felt so aligned. It felt like this is just it. It's like a no-brainer. It has to happen.
I know, it just excites you from within, and it's a different feeling when you know this is what I'm meant to do. This is what is for me.
Yeah, it like clicked, and I was like, this is the how, because I couldn't figure out the how. And so exactly that. Yeah, it was a good click. And so I went to do the teacher training and got certified, and that's
Where was this?
It was at Berkeley University.
Berkeley?
Yeah. So back and forth, there was some modules in person and then some remote. So so that's how it came to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long was this course?
The teacher training was a year.
A year?
Yeah.
Okay. And you could still like go back to 9 to 5 teaching this at organizations, right?
Yeah. So it's not necessarily a 9 to 5. It's more like while I was doing the teacher training, I was doing some part-time HR work, and then I was doing some pilot workshops and pilot programs of what I was learning while I was training. So I was kind of starting things already, but there's no, like when I was taking this training, you then go out into the world and you make it your own basically, or you teach the Google program, but you're not like in an organization 9 to 5. There are some companies who have internally trained teachers, but for me, I knew that I just wanted to make it my own. And that was the start of like doing my own thing, And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to release a solo entrepreneur and figure it out. And this is how. So
after the course, you said you were still like already started applying all that you were learning on the side. And then how did the chain reaction, this name came into existence? Why the chain reaction?
Yeah. So there was one night when I was very excited that I had found the Google program, and I was like, what's the company name going to be? And I kind of went, on all these research expeditions, if you will. And I actually came across some earrings. There was a store in Calgary called Liz and Lottie in East Village. And I used to watch some of their Instagram stories, and they had a pair of earrings that were chains, and it was called, I think the earrings were called the Chain Reaction or something like that. And I was like, that's such a cool name. I love it. And I was like, and it makes sense because mindfulness is about being present in the moment, and how each moment when you're not aware and you're not mindful, one meeting bleeds into the next, right? And we carry on kind of the essence or the energy or the mood of something before into the present, or from now into the future, or you're thinking about the future. So it felt like the links to me, and like in the earrings, they were like chain links, right? Like chains. So it just felt like a really good fit that, it's not just about, it's about not having each moment bleed, but being aware that it does bleed.
If you ask me, the chain reaction totally makes sense because
okay, yeah, I'm curious.
when you are burnt out at your play 9 to 5, then you bring that home. It disturbs your home environment, your family, your kids are affected by it, and then
Yeah.
they take you as a parent that way. My mom is always grumpy, she's always mad, and that affects because they are like so, they absorb very quickly, and that affects their upbringing and the people who they become in the future. It also affects your own body.
Yeah.
It leads to so many other things. It's a chain
Yes.
reaction that just goes on, and it just
Yes.
keeps affecting one thing after the other, one thing after the other.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's
don't
great.
know.
That's great.
From what you have told.
Yeah, I think it's very much in essence of that. Absolutely. Because whether you're burnt out or you're not burnt out, everything like that kind of feeling transfers, right?
Exactly.
Everything has an impact. So, yes, that's kind of why the chain reaction. And I just thought it was such a cool and like unique name. And I was like, it fits and it feels more like me, because I'm not a big yoga person. I like before I went to this 10-day meditation course, I thought it was going to make me really soft or woo woo. And I was like, I'm not that person. Right. So I didn't think I needed mindfulness. And a lot of the businesses that are out there that teach these tools are mindful this or mindful. And it just like gives that connotation. And I was like, I don't want to have anything in the name that's kind of associated with that, because I wanted to bring it into different access points. Like I love spin class. So one of the places I have run workshops is a spin studio in Calgary.
Okay.
And I've done, workshops at different gyms, and we'll do like a circuit workout and then a workshop. Like that's how I started doing some of these one-off workshops, because like I've never taken it into a yoga studio, which is a typical place that somebody would find a mindfulness workshop, right? And I was like, that wouldn't be an access point for me. And my goal is to bring it out to people who don't know they need mindfulness, because that was me.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, I wouldn't have found this at a yoga studio, but I'd probably go to a workshop at a spin studio. I'd be more intrigued, right? So, yeah, I think there's a lot baked into the name, if you will.
What year was this?
When I started the business?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was 2019. Yeah, 2019. Because I spent 2019 in teacher training and got certified in March of 2020.
Okay.
So yeah, it was throughout 2019.
Okay, so when you registered your company and you were starting, that was in 2020.
I don't remember the date that I registered it. That's a good question, actually. Yeah, I don't remember the date, but it was somewhere within probably 2020. I actually like registered it, but. Yeah, I was running with it on social media from 2019, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to, do outreach, reach out to people and like, convince them for you to do a workshop?
Yes and no. Part of it, I mean, it's so close to me and how I live my life. So naturally, when I talk to people, it just sort of comes out of me anyways in conversation. So outreach was very interesting in the beginning, because I didn't do typical outreach. I didn't do like cold calling and say, hey, do you want a mindfulness workshop? I just did networking. And just by virtue of that, there was some interest, and some people, like I had a life coach back in 2018, and she worked in the corporate space as well. So when I was going through this, and I had finished working with her and I was doing the Google program training, she said, oh, there's some companies I have that, you can come in and do some work for. So that was a really good entryway to get some practice going. So that was helpful. So outreach has been, I mean, like in the beginning, it was weird though. Like people were like, what do you mean you're doing mindfulness at organizations? But then it was also during the time of COVID. So there was a bit more conversation happening around it, but people still didn't know what it was, or we didn't have a lot of the language around it. So there was a lot of education that was going into, I guess, the outreach. But I networked a ton. Like I networked my buns off, and was just talking about it to everyone, because also it had changed my life. it made me happier and healthier and like more confident and all the things that I had wanted to be. And so I was like, I want to tell everybody about this, and see if it helps. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, then that's okay. There's lots of other methods out there.
So, if someone was to ask you, okay, what do you do? Or what is this mindfulness that you teach? How do you explain them very briefly?
Yeah. So I would say, I'm a high performance coach and mindfulness expert. And I help people. Well, I guess it depends who they are first. I would need to like know, I do a little bit of recon to understand like who they are. But yeah, like I help people be less stressed, using like science and micro practices. So really easy, tangible ways to manage stress and still perform highly and be like in leadership roles and work up the chain if that's what you want. So you're living with more intention and precision and less mental chatter, if you will. Yeah.
Do you only help people in leadership roles?
Not only. There's a bit of a range. So most of my work is one-on-one coaching or larger scale workshops, things like that. So, I mean, I've been doing this for now 5-6 years. So I've worked with a range of people, so not just leaders, usually, many in most levels.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what you actually do or how it actually helps. Like, as we spoke about, people you don't know they are burnt out. How do you help them understand? Like, or you yourself understand, are they burnt out? Are they stressed? Or what's going on?
Yeah. Yes, there's a couple of different mechanisms. So I have a burnout assessment that I run, and it's kind of like a very short quiz. It takes 2 or 3 minutes, and then it'll tell you if you're in burnout zone, if you're critical or you're trending towards burnout. So that's one method. And then the other piece, because it depends how I'm interacting with them, right? If they've just come across my page or if we're in a conversation, I can tell pretty easily in conversation, if somebody's burnt out or they are very close. It's not just about if they're saying, oh yeah, like I'm so busy in this. It's also about how they talk about the other parts of their life. Like if the other parts of their life are draining them, that's typically like their whole life is draining them. Like work and personal and, kids and this. And like one of my clients said, I work a lot and I'm really exhausted when I get home. And then, we're trying to look for a new house, my wife and I, and that's a struggle. I can't book flights. I don't have the capacity. Sometimes when my wife talks to me, I just like don't want to talk to her. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Right. So that's a piece if we're in conversation. And then I also do a time and energy audit with clients in the beginning because I find that we have a lot of time and energy leaks. There's 4 main ones that I find. So there's overthinking, people pleasing, self-doubt, and then distractions and digital overload. So these are 4 time and energy sucks that like high performers spend 1 to 2 hours a day overthinking.
That's true.
That's a lot of time spent overthinking. And we don't think about that. Like people in leadership positions don't think about that. They just think that I struggle to make decisions, right? Well, let's talk about why. Well, because you're looping on decisions, you're overthinking it, right? You can't settle on a decision and have the facts and the feelings and kind of separate it out and see things clearly. So when we get into some of those conversations or I run some of those assessments, then it shows me which parts of their mind are actually causing some of the burnout, because it's not always external. There's usually a balance of external and a balance of internal, right?
Right. But all that you said, people pleasing, self-doubt, distractions, they all sound so familiar. How can, like, if someone is watching this, how can they help themselves, with
these pieces?
these pieces?
Yeah. I mean, reach out. I'm happy to have a conversation and see how I can help. I share a lot of resources on how to help with these pieces. It all comes back to mental training, like mental strength training, and knowing when you're falling into overthinking. That's the first step. And I take all my clients through this 3 steps process of awareness, action, and amplify. So awareness is just being aware. Like, when are you overthinking? Is it when you're trying to write an email and you burn 20 minutes because you're overthinking what to respond?
Right.
Right? Like, awareness is the first really key step to noticing if you might have some of these time and energy leaks.
I'm just trying to think what else can people, who are stressed or burnt out, just how do they take that first step
Yeah.
to even reach out for help?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. How you can reach out for help. I mean, if you don't see it in yourself, you're not going to reach out for help. Like, if you're not experiencing any consequences to your life, you're not going to reach out for help. Right? Like,
right.
That's the place of, I mean, lately I've been doing a lot of kind of one-on-ones in an organization that's struggling with a lot of burnout. So typically I work with people in 3 or 6 months, but this whole organization is really struggling. So I've been doing some more individual one-on-ones, like one-offs, and people are like, I don't take a break to eat lunch. I don't drink water because then I have to go to the bathroom. When I get home, I crash at 4:30, or I get home and I relax for a bit and then I crash at 7:30. And if I have energy, I'll have dinner. Either I'll cook or I'll order in. But most of the time I don't have energy. So I actually just don't even eat dinner and I just go to sleep and do it all over again. And sometimes it takes a moment to realize, like, okay, let's zoom out a second. Like, this is your life. And for many people, this has been going on for a very long time. And you kind of think, like, is this how you want to spend your life? If you're happy with this, that's cool. Do you? But most people aren't, because they're like, I don't have quality of life.
Right.
When I'm on vacation, I'm always on. So it's really like recognizing the sign first of all, or a sign, or noticing a bit of discomfort that you might be feeling. That's usually the first step, even before reaching out for help, is just knowing that something doesn't feel quite right or exciting for you.
Right.
That's your intuition. That's your body giving you a nudge to dig a little bit deeper. And that stuff doesn't usually go away. It just gets louder.
Yeah. Some people think that's how you work. That's how you grow. Like couple months ago, there was a lot of controversy as well. Like when a CEO of one of the big tech companies, especially in India, said, like, you have to work really hard, especially in your 20s. Literally, like, burnout. Like, you have to work 70 hours a week. This is not the time to, live your life and do all that. This is the time where you work hard, you perform, and you prove yourself. That's when you're going to grow in your professional career, learn more, things like that. And it was such a big controversy because people were like, no, living a life is equally important. So when your leadership is like of that mentality, the burnout is going to come, right?
Absolutely. That's how it trickles into organizations.
Yeah.
And companies don't realize that it starts at the top. It becomes a cultural thing.
Right.
It's the culture of the company. Like, next time if somebody's, interviewing for a job and you ask about the culture of the organization, like, ask in a detailed way, like, how do meetings happen? Like, I've heard organizations where somebody will have 4 or 5 meetings in their calendar at any given time. Like, people don't check if you have another meeting. They just send the meeting invite, and then you're left there with 4 or 5 meetings in your calendar,
Right.
and you are either kind of going between a few meetings or choosing which one to go into. Like, that's a cultural, organizational issue.
Right.
Like, ask about the turnover in an organization, ask about attrition, ask about sick leaves, stress leaves, like, I don't know how much can actually be shared, right? But those are some questions to ask from the get-go to understand the culture of an organization.
Right.
That stuff has a huge impact that is at a systemic level. And then you get to choose, do I want to be in an organization like this that has this kind of leadership? And it's all a choice, right? Like, it's a controversy because for some people it works and it makes sense for them. And for many people, it doesn't.
Honestly, it shouldn't work for anyone, in my opinion. Because if I look at the long run, I feel, and I've worked here for a decade now, and
Yeah.
one thing I've come to know, they are going to just let you go if they have to. Things are not working, they think their budget is low, this, that. They'll not think once before like kicking you out of the organization. So,
Yeah.
and this is a very good point that you made, like while interviewing, especially like if you're not a newcomer and if you're not starting out, if you are established even a little, these are the questions you should be asking in the interview.
Yeah.
What is your company culture? How do you make sure your employees don't burn out? The turnover rate? Why people leave when
Yeah.
they leave? What is the reason? Right? These are the important questions that you should be asking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting because everybody has different energy levels. So when I say, like, it can work for some people, it's based on like what works for you in a healthy way, right? Like what feels healthy. For some people, they have a lot of energy and they can sleep 6 hours and they are doers and they just need to like do and build all the time. And there are some people who, are a bit more introspective and need a bit more time and space and more rest. But we haven't been taught that kind of stuff, right? Like growing up, we're not taught how do you need to balance your energy?
Right.
Like I have some friends who sleep 6 hours and they're on the money and they're great and they're happy, right? And I need like a good 8 to 9. Like 9 is gold. That's good, right? I wake up at like 7:30, 8 in the morning. Like I have like later mornings. Obviously now I can kind of craft that, right? That day. But for some people, and I guess maybe it also depends on how much context was given with like, how much to be working in that sense. But some people are really driven by that and fueled by it to a point where it's not unhealthy. I think that's the piece. Some people, everyone's so unique in their own build. That's where some people I meet, like I'm like, yeah, you are definitely 100% burnt out, right? And some people, it's like you're in your energy, like you're in an energy flow, right? So some people you just want to like lock in and kind of be focused for a while. That's great. But that's where things like some podcasts, when people say, oh, just go have a cold shower, that'll help you wake up. That can actually really mess up your nervous system and make you much more stressed. Like when we learn these kind of things, it's not a blanket one size fits all. Like each person is different and what works for each person is different. There are some universals, but many things are different. That's why you can't just like read a book or listen to one podcast and say, I'm going to go fix my life. It doesn't happen that way.
But I'm a little like deeper person.
Yeah.
And from how much I've learned and read and watched podcast, I feel like this is such a slow poison. Even people like, even if you, this is on just my opinion, even if people feel like they thrive on like 2 hours, 3 hours sleep and they can do burnout and they're still energetic, they're still happy and everything. Our human body is so complicated, I feel like it is going to show up. It is going to show up later in your life. Your brain and your body needs that sleep to heal itself. Probably, you're not sleeping, and that's why in old age people get Alzheimer's. Who knows? It's just the downside is you can't connect things. Like, oh, because you did not sleep, this is why you're getting this or condition at an older age. Because you had this sort of food and your bad eating habits, now you're getting cancer. Nobody can say that. And that's the reason people don't take things seriously.
Totally. And I mean, stress is the root of many. And most
even
diseases.
IBS.
Yes, of course,
It's
it
stress.
is. It really is. And I guess like when, I mean, I do agree that it is slow poison when it is, I guess like when you're in that state for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? When you're in that state for a long time and you overlook your body. But that's where your body gives signals, right? It gives signals throughout the way. So if you're like sleeping 6 hours and it's crappy sleep for 12 years, like that's going to take a toll.
Yeah.
Right? But if it's in like the flow of everything else and it's like a year or two and you're in a focus zone, like that's more momentum. It can be for some people, but for sure, like we're not put on this earth to just work. Like
totally.
We're put on this earth to live.
Yeah.
And it's different for each person, but we're not here to just be workhorses. Like it's we've come into this culture where it's like people just work to live.
Yeah.
Right?
Which I never understood.
Yeah.
And I never understand.
Yeah. I mean, they live to work. You live to work, meaning that you just are living here just to work. But it should be the other way.
Yeah.
Right? It's too much.
I know. But how's the entrepreneurial side going?
Yeah.
How do you enjoy it?
Yeah. It's an experience, I will say. I wouldn't wish it any other way. It's the biggest personal development I think that you can encounter. I didn't expect it to be, this difficult sometimes and also this rewarding sometimes.
Yeah.
It's unlike anything else, I think, that's out there, but it's really exciting to create something that you wish existed. I wish I knew these things before I burnt out. I wish I had some of these tools and resources or had access to it in this way. So.
But you mentioned like difficult times and like good times. Sometimes people don't talk about difficult times so much. But would you mind sharing? From a third person's perspective, I could say like having a stable income. You're sleeping, paycheck is going to come in no matter what. And, there is not so much responsibility of like being an entrepreneur. You're just going, filling your 9 to 5, doing what is asked to do and get out and just there's paycheck waiting for you. That kind of a peace of mind, I would say.
Yeah.
How do you look at it?
Yeah, well, we don't have that peace of mind on this side of things, but that's the choice, right? And but also there's no cap, which is very exciting. Like you make the rules, which is super exciting and very overwhelming sometimes because you don't know what's always right or what's going to work well or what's not going to work well because every business is also different, So sometimes I've followed the rules of what I think business needs to be. And then it doesn't work very well. And I'm like, oh, why didn't that work? The same as like when I hit burnout, right? I was like, I followed all the rules. Why didn't it work? Or felt like it didn't work. So I'm constantly reminded to make it my own, right? Like work with my own nervous system, do what works for me and what works for the business. And what works for me is going to be better for my clients because I show up better. So when I'm not looking after myself, the business suffers, which I didn't fully understand how entangled it can be when you are in this type of business. There are different types of businesses. but I'm not just like selling a product, right? It's like a life-changing service. Like these are skills and mental skills that you learn that stay with you for life. So when I'm not on, it's hard to kind of fake it, or perform it.
Right.
But yeah, there's times where, business is dry. It's not, as fruitful as I may have liked it to be. But when I learn more about business and why things aren't working and dig deeper, then I can uncover like, oh, this is the root problem here. This is the challenge here. Yeah, it's kind of, I guess it's been interesting that way, and seeing how I'm so tied with the business.
How was your first like public speaking experience? Was it like okay for you? Or did it take some work?
It wasn't okay for me. I definitely grew up doing some public speaking, and it was nerve-wracking every time, very stressful. But through the years, it's just something I'm like, this is the price I have to pay to get my message out, and at the end of the day, the work that I do is not actually about me. It's not about me. It's about knowing that other people are also struggling. And like I said, if I wish I knew these skills or had somebody who was maybe sharing this type of content or whatnot. So it's actually about other people, helping them. Like that's what I've wanted to do, right? Is help other people in a deeper way. And this is how I can do that.
So this mindset helped you with your communication,
Yeah,
facing like larger group.
Facing fears. Yeah, it helped me to just realize like it's not about me. You have to just get the message out, and you're gonna have to do some uncomfortable things, and coach myself through it using my own emotional intelligence techniques to manage the fear and get it out there. And now I've done so much of it, so it's much better. And much less stressed and a lot more, I think, natural in things. But yeah, in the beginning, it's hard. It's the same as when you're learning any new skill, right? You have to pay the price of it maybe not being very good or being uncomfortable and doing it anyways. I think that's something we're not taught a lot in our life, is to how to manage the discomfort and decide if you want to do it or not. Both are okay, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What roles did your parents play, in all this that you have done? Like maybe not doing MBA or quitting your HR and then going and doing the Google course. How were they supportive?
Yeah, they were definitely supportive. I think they were also quite skeptical because it was a new space. They didn't really know what I was doing. They didn't fully understand it. So there was support for sure. I couldn't have done it without them for sure. However, there was a lot of questions that I didn't have answers to. Let's say that. A lot of questions I didn't have answers to. But also, I remember when I told my dad I wanted to start this, he was very supportive because he's like, yeah, I've started so many different types of businesses. Like you can do any type of business, and I'm happy to help where I can. Though most of his businesses have been products or like fruit, right? And so I'm like, this is a little different, but we can still talk about things and learnings and a lot of value there. So yeah.
It is good when your parents are supportive of things. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And usually in the Asian communities, most of the parents are very academic focused and just like study whatever you want to do it on the side, but first just go study. So
I think because I already tried the MBA route and they saw what happened with that. So they were like, well, we don't really know what else to say to you now because we've been telling you to do your MBA, right? All these years. So they're like, you can keep trying to do your MBA. I think that was maybe always a bit of a secret hope, perhaps, but seeing how I kind of stepped into the business and how things ended up unfolding, was helpful. And I mean, part of why I found these tools and skills was also because of them, because they also didn't know how to help me when I was stressed, right? And burnt out. And so they were like, oh, just put a smile on your face or like just do what we've always been doing, right?
Right.
And it didn't work. So I kind of ventured out to find my own tools, which was difficult. Like it's scary. It's scary to do that. And so they were supportive. However, were like, we don't understand it. And to some level, when somebody goes on a different path, people around you don't know how to support you.
Yeah.
And that's something that is not talked about as much. Just kind of have to have grace for that, right? Like if it's something that you want to do and you know that it's in you, then it's in you. Like then it's all you.
Right.
Yeah.
I just, when you mentioned earlier, when you quit your job and you came to Calgary
Mm.
and you were ashamed and like, what people are going to say, were there any your friends, family, sibling, parents, did they say something bad that affected you or good that, motivated you?
Mm.
Because many people, first think of what society is going to say about this decision that we are taking in the moment.
Yeah.
So what did someone say anything to you and how did it affect you?
Mm. More specifically, like with the burnout piece and like leaving,
Or you quitting your job and no, you're such a loser. Why are you doing this? Who does that? We all are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember necessarily, I didn't necessarily tell a lot of people that I quit and that this was happening. I do remember that like there was also the internal worry that, I'm in HR and we used to look at resumes with resume gaps. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have a resume gap because of a failure, right? So I have to like patch it up or something like that. I think that, yeah, my parents they were supportive, but again, like didn't know how to help. So there wasn't like oh, it'll really be fine. But there wasn't like you failed either.
Mm-hmm.
There was also just other kind of stuff going on in the family that was a little bit preoccupying, that was also happening. And I do remember one friend when I said I was going to start my own business and like not look for like just a full-time thing. I did have a friend who said, you're crazy. And not in like a, oh my God, you're crazy, like exciting way, but in like a, you're crazy. Like that's a terrible idea because that's really hard. And like, why would you do that? And it was very clear that friend was looking out for me in the best way they knew how, but also is not very risk tolerant, And again, everyone's different. So I was like, I have this thing inside of me and I have to do it. It wasn't really a question, So I've had some different experiences. And then there was more so, I would say, I just didn't tell a lot of people, like a lot of people, especially my community, my cultural community. I didn't tell people for about a year or so.
The reason would be because people won't understand and they won't support you.
Well, I was scared of that. I was scared of the judgment, especially in like my religious community. We're quite religious. I was quite religious. So the fact that I was doing something different, like learning, because we had meditation in our religion, but it wasn't working for me. So to say that it wasn't working for me is dicey, and to say that I'm trying these other things and I'm bringing it into companies, it can be seen as a conflict. And there was a time where I just didn't want to have those conversations. I just didn't want to deal with it because I needed to find my own way first. So I also protected myself, and kept it hush hush for a while because I didn't know how to handle some backlash that might come, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah. But like your friend who said like it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think people somehow don't realize that everything is hard. Working a 9 to 5 that you don't like, and when you wake up, you're just like, oh my God, to go to work again. When is the weekend? It's not weekend yet. Even that is hard. Doing like 50, 60 years of your life.
Yeah.
Even that is difficult.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
You'd rather
you pick your heart.
Yeah. Just go and try something. Who knows?
Yeah.
and you'd be living like a wonderful and sleep until 9 a.m.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's taken a long time to get here. Done a lot of 7 a.m. workshops, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people have exactly that, it's everything you do is hard. Like to me, their path is hard. And I'm like, I don't want that hard. I want this hard.
This hard. Yeah.
Right. But we don't, yeah, you're right. We don't think about it that way, or we don't make the intentional choice for ourselves. We get really scared with it and we just want to follow what everybody else is doing. Again, I'm like, if you're happy and you're healthy and that's what fills you up, then great. But for most people, it doesn't, There's another way to live. There's another way to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any of your client example or stories, how they took your services and they helped you, or they came back to tell you how they are doing?
Yeah, I mean, quite a few. One of my clients, he was very, very stressed at work, and he was managing a team of 5 or 6 people. And after, working together for a little while, like basically there was a lot of internal conflict in the team that was happening, and things were just getting escalated to him all the time. Having a hard time holding people accountable because he was very nice. He wanted to be liked, which is what many leaders also want. So he ended up doing a lot of work for them, or just like not holding them accountable, or would struggle with some of those pieces. And so he used to have a hard time making decisions. So after working together for a little while, I also did some one-on-ones with people on his team as well. And after a bit, he said, things just get self-sorted in the team now. And I have been able to, he said, you've unlocked the decisive leader within. So he stopped a lot of the mental spiral and the overthinking, and he went on to get a promotion to be VP, which was one of his goals, and that's been something that's happened with a lot of clients as they've gone on to reach their other goals. One client I just reconnected with recently, he was one of my first one-on-one clients, actually. And, had a little bit of a chat with him. And he's like, I still think about all the learnings that you taught me, and I use them every day. And it's just made me so much more peaceful and calm. And I can like see things more clearly, in the day. One of my clients, we put together like a goals kind of spreadsheet, spreadsheets. And she likes spreadsheets. And, we had worked together for a while, and at the end of our time, she was still kind of struggling with this goals piece, and I was like, this is something that will come with time. Like, don't stress it, just let it be and see what happens. And 6 months later, she sent me an email and was like, oh my God, you've totally changed my life. Like, I've been back to that goal spreadsheet and things have just clicked. And now I'm going to start my own side business doing, other pieces. And it was just, she found a lot of alignment after we had worked together, which was really cool. So yeah, lots of different, I guess, types of stories that come up, especially new managers who are managing time with kids. Like they have a kid at home, and was a director in New York, and he said, I wake up and I'm just so stressed in the morning. Then I go to work and I'm trying to connect with my team, but they struggle they're not necessarily respecting me because I'm younger than some of them. And this is the first time I'm doing this, and I work really late hours, and then I go home and I have kind of a newborn at home, and I don't really get to spend time with her, and I miss dinner. And so within just a few weeks of working together, we tightened up his morning schedule and his morning routine, and his mindset for the day, and how he connects with his employees at work. And he's like, I'm at home every night for dinner now. I get to hang out with my daughter in the morning, and I'm connecting so much more confidently with my team. Like I have executive presence. That's what I wanted. That was really cool. Really cool to hear.
It must be so rewarding, to listen to these stories, and when people come back to tell you how they're flourishing and they're achieving their goal.
Yeah.
It makes you fulfilled, like you're doing your job right, sort of.
Yeah. I mean, it's very cool because my wins are my clients' wins, right? And if they're not winning or they're struggling, especially obviously when we're working together, then I'm like, okay, well, we need to find, another way. So yeah, it's definitely fulfilling, and I feel very grateful that I get to do this and that people trust me too, because we talk about some deep stuff that a lot of people don't talk about with people. And so, yeah, I'm grateful for the trust, and I really feel like it's my way of just paying it forward. It's kind of like my deeper intention of helping to make the world a better place. I think when we have more compassion and more empathy for ourselves and for others, that's how we lead a bit more of a peaceful life, and we need more of that.
Right.
Yeah, we need more of that. So it's just my contribution.
So, how long usually are these sessions, or how long do you have the coaching with them? Is it for a month? How many sessions?
Yeah, usually 3 to 6 months. I have a couple of clients I've been coaching for a few years. They're a little bit like younger clients. So, they're learning a lot in their career. So some of them work with me for a couple of years, but usually it's about 3 to 6 months. 3 months I usually find is the sweet spot where we're either getting you out of burnout, like you're curbing burnout, or we're kind of, you're good and you're functioning well and you're trying to get to that next level, right? And so then we kind of get to the next level because, again, these are tools that you learn them, and while you can always use help to apply them in different parts of your life, I want to empower everybody with the tools, and then you go and learn it. And then you as a leader or, a mother or a father, like you teach it to your kids, right? And to your teams, right? And I've had some clients who have done that. They're like, oh, I use this check-in practice with my team, and they all were so excited about it. And I was like, awesome. Like, this is how it spreads, right? And it happens. So yeah.
But this is one-on-one coaching that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, one-on-one coaching. I also do like programs at organizations that are a bit more scalable to help change the culture of the organization. So, a tiered approach of like workshops, pre-recorded videos, like different courses, things like that. And that can range within an organization depending how big it is, how deep the burnout culture is within the organization. If it's a startup, it can be easier to kind of mold, right? And set things up a little bit. So a few months, but sometimes with larger organizations, it takes a bit more time and repetition. So that can be a bit of a longer engagement. But yeah, those are the main two channels of how I work with people.
Are the workshops and the group sessions, where you work with an organization with the pre-recorded trainings that you have, are they equally helpful
As one-on-one
coaching?
It's different. It's a more scalable solution. So for organizations, it can be more of a better fit that way. But typically in those organizations, I'm also working with key employees that are either really high stakes employees and high risk of burnout, like they're already on the path, or, CEO, VP level, because it starts at the top, right? And that's where the culture change happens. So it's a bit of a layered approach. So it's hard to say that they're just different, they're different. And obviously when you're doing something one-on-one, it's a lot more tailored and nuanced to you because there's more of that back and forth. And I can say, okay, Neha, how did this practice help? Did it work? Right? Did you use it? You're like, oh, I didn't use it. It takes too long. Okay, this practice takes 5 minutes and it's too long. Great. Let's talk about a technique that you can do in 30 seconds, to like reground before you go into a meeting with your CEO so you can think clearly, right? So we get to have more customization. It's kind of like, when you get a suit from the grocery store, right? And you pick a size and it fits you.
Yeah.
And it's fine. But then if you get it tailored to you, it's like really sick and it like fits you custom. Like that's kind of the difference, right?
Right.
You can't really get more customed to you.
Right.
Yeah.
But this helps with burnout. Is there any way, or do you also teach people how to prevent burnout? like not to get there in the first place.
Yeah, that's kind of baked in. So I guess it's whether it's one-on-one or within organizations, like if the organization is seeing high turnover and a lot of stress leave and a lot of challenge in the company, then we're in a bit more of a reactive approach, right? Whereas if they know, an acquisition is coming up or a merge or a really large project, and they can see that people are starting to struggle, then we're a bit more proactive. So definitely a bit of both. And there is some overlap for sure. But it's a bit, there's overlap, but they're also different, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the only way you could measure the success of your training that you do is from getting the feedback from the people.
Yeah, there's like a scaled approach that I use. So, Amy Edmondson's, like there's like psychological safety kind of assessments that can be done in organizations. There are burnout assessments that can be done. So based on the company, I will curate an appropriate assessment to do a pre and post measurement. So we can actually see the impact, and that's how you can measure ROI and those kind of pieces. And like the Google developed program, the Search Inside Yourself program, has a 200% ROI. It's been shown that specific program, right? So, and with individuals, it's more of that one-on-one scaled approach. So same, I use the time and energy audit where we measure how much you're overthinking, how much you're people pleasing, how often you're distracted, and like there's a scaled number approach that comes from that. And then we assess at the end and we see the difference. So I definitely use data and numerical pieces to assess the impact of the work. And then of course there's people who are just like, I just feel so much better, and I'm calmer and I'm not spinning as much, right? Or this challenge would have taken me 4 days to get over, or a week I would have been stewing on this, and within 24 hours I'm over it. So got like 5 days back in your life, which is a lot of time. So
totally.
Yeah.
Is there any particular moment in all this time that you are doing this where you felt proud, or which somebody gave a feedback and it really touched you? Something that you still think of?
Yeah. So one organization I'm working with right now, a lot of burnout in the company, and so I'm working with one of the directors who he's like, we need to do whatever we need to do, to get this better. And this is where I'm doing those one-on-one sessions. So in the session, we're talking about the challenges that are coming up for this person, and then specific techniques. But it's it's kind of a one and done. And I've done about 30 at this company. And he came back and said, I didn't expect the feedback from people to be this positive. Like, you're changing the way people think about work and their life and how they're relating at work and how they're looking after themselves. And it's been spreading, like other people in other teams are hearing about it, and they also want some, they want some resources and they want some one-on-ones. And he's like, I honestly just didn't expect this. And he said, it's something different when someone comes to you and says, thank you for helping my coworker. My coworker was really stressed, and now Dave's less stressed. He's like, I've had people coming to me to say that, thank you on behalf of somebody else. And that really got to me. Like, I almost got some tears. Yeah. I was like, damn, okay, that's good. Like, thank you for telling me that. And let's keep doing it. It makes an impact, and people feel safer and more excited about work, and they feel cared about. Right. So that was a big one recently.
Okay. Now, on the contrary, what were some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you, face it?
Yeah. I mean, there have been moments where, one client, like I shared part of a story of hers on on social media. I didn't name her or anything like that, but just part of the story and a big moment and kind of hurdle that she overcame. And she was like, it felt too raw to have that out there, even though I wasn't named or anything in it. And I was like, okay, for telling me. Like, I have to be aware of sharing people's stories too, right? Whether it's their name or not. It's people's stories. And sometimes what makes it a really hard hurdle for people to get over, and many people relate to, like the amount of feedback I got, from sharing this story, was I wasn't really expecting it, but people really related to this, right? And I was like, okay, I need to really just check, myself and check how I'm sharing stories and be a little bit more maybe intentional and kind of mindful about it. So that was definitely a difficult moment for me to hear that feedback.
So it was helpful for everyone who read that story because they could relate. But she just felt a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, she's like, this was a really difficult moment, and it's been put out into the world. And I was like, yeah, okay, I can appreciate that. Like, it's not just for it, like not everything is for not that not everything's for everyone's consumption, but like, yeah, I think there's just a bit more of a mindful way to share it, I guess. Like, that was a difficult moment where I had to take in kind of my own learnings around it. And then one client was not reaping the benefits. They were coming back and saying like, I'm buying what you're saying and I understand what you're saying, but it's just not working like consistently. And I was like, okay, but are you using it? Like, did you try it? When did you try it? We tried at a different time of the day. Like, I was like digging a little bit more, and we've uncovered that this client wasn't actually using the techniques. And I ended the contract because this had gone on for a couple of months. And I was like, look, your wins are my wins. You're not getting value out of this, because it's not being implemented. Like, part of when I start working with somebody is for there to be a common ground of knowing that you have to put in effort. Like, you have to bring the energy, and nothing changes if nothing changes, right? You have to be willing to try something different, and they just weren't. But they said yes in the beginning, so I haven't had many clients like that. It was the only one that I had to let go of, and it was very uncomfortable. I don't think people talk about that. They don't talk about when alignment maybe changes, right? And I was like, I'm not what you need anymore. Maybe I was 2 months ago when we started, but at this point, I'm not. So please find something else that's going to be valuable for you, right? And I shared a couple other resources and went on our way.
Sometimes you need to take those difficult decisions, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're so passionate about what you do and you're really looking for the results and helping people. But if a person themselves are not ready and don't want to help them, what can you do about it, right?
Yeah. And it's not even about like me and the results. It's about helping them, right? And if they're not getting value from it, like, go spend it on a bunch of massages if that's going to give you more value. Like, that's okay, right? Like, I'm not offended by that.
Right.
But let's find something that's going to be valuable for you and helpful for you. Like, that's the end goal, whether it's me or not me, that's okay. So yeah, but like, that's also how I learn, right? Like, because there was several sessions where I could see it was just not working, and I was trying so many things, and I spent so much time like researching and talking to other coaches and just understanding how to help support this person, and then I was like, it's so draining for me and it's not valuable for them. So, it would like kind of derail my whole day. And I was like, this is not also serving my other clients now, right? So sometimes we have to have those difficult decisions, but you don't learn otherwise.
Right.
Yeah. It's tough.
Right. But these days, I'm jumping on to other topic, but these days marketing is so important for any business. And you are on Instagram as well. Do you use Instagram for marketing?
Not really.
No?
More so LinkedIn is the main platform for me. Yeah. Instagram's a little bit like behind the scenes, I'm working on maybe a bit more valuable content for Instagram. So that's kind of coming, but LinkedIn's been the main platform because it's important. But most of my people are on,
LinkedIn,
most of my main clients are on LinkedIn, but people like to see on Instagram. It's a bit of like a more personal snapshot,
Right.
and I'm trying to find ways to share it a bit better in the way that I live this stuff, it's who I am, it's how I live, it's my way of life. And sometimes it's difficult to find a way to express that. So I'm working on it.
So, but has LinkedIn helped you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it connected us, which is great.
Oh, yeah.
LinkedIn's been awesome. It hasn't been the only thing, there's other mechanisms and tools that are needed to be used. But LinkedIn's been good for sure.
And referrals, I think, are your biggest thing.
Yeah, referrals are great. And then there's always I surround myself with people who are supportive, right? And care what I do and vice versa. So we're always looking out for each other. Like I have a couple of friends who say, I also go to these networking things and I found somebody who's looking for a speaker and I put your name forward, so it's nice to have people who are talking positively about me in rooms where I'm not.
Totally.
I appreciate that. So a couple of different mechanisms. And LinkedIn is one spot. But there's others. But referrals are usually really great too.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay.
Did I miss anything? Or is there any last word you want to tell? And also, if people want to find you and connect with you, what is the best way?
Yeah, the best way is LinkedIn for sure. Find me on Instagram too, if you'd like, but LinkedIn is the best main platform. Yeah.
And any last word or advice you would want to give to people?
Yeah, I'll say my last words of advice it's one of my favorite quotes is to go live on purpose. Live your life with purpose, whatever it is you do. If you're working, happy with that, in a 9 to 5, then do that, but do it on purpose. Do it with intention.
Right.
If you're hanging out with family, kids, even if you're scrolling, do it on purpose. Do it with intention. Your life will just feel less stressed, a bit more fulfilled. And a bit warmer.
It was wonderful chatting with you.
Thank you for having me.
And conversations like these, help me so much to grow myself, to learn more. And this added so much value, to all that we covered here.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And if you like this video up until here and if you watched it, don't forget to hit the like button and I'll see you in the next one.